welcome to this video that is not a pick a card tarot reading. I almost said welcome to this pick a card tarot reading. It is not. It is not a pick a card tarot reading. This is a chat about how I got into tarot, spirituality in general, and also some tips and tricks for developing your intuition and knowing the difference between intuition and anything else.
And feeling and
anxiety,
yeah.
A random message. I normally don't do videos like this, but I've been getting a lot of questions lately about this topic, and I thought it would be fun to sit down and talk to you a little bit about it. I brought on a special guest for this video.
Hi.
This is one of my best friends, Kira, who is an astrologer. Mm-hmm. So also a very intuitive individual.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I'm a mostly traditional astrologer, and I've been offering consultations since 2020. If you want to get a reading or check out my website, you can go ahead and do that at www.kirareiberg.com. I have 2 YouTube channels, one that's more about astrology and spirituality and stuff like that, and one that's more about just like my life vlogs and things like that, so feel free to check me out on YouTube if you feel so inclined, or if that resonates with you.
I'll put those links down below so you can check them out if you want to. Also, Kira and I used to have a podcast together.
Yeah.
We still do have a podcast
We're just
together.
on like a temporary hiatus.
Yeah, it's been put on pause. But the podcast is still like there. It's still online.
Yeah.
And Kira talked about her spiritual journey on the podcast. So if you're interested in hearing her story, I'll put that link to the podcast down below so you can hear that if you want to.
It's called La Sorcière, so if you wanted to check it out.
Oh, yeah.
It's on all major podcasting platforms.
Yeah, so you can tell which one of us went to school for like communications and marketing.
I was like, is she gonna say the name or?
I honestly didn't even think about it. I'm really bad at like promoting things.
It's okay.
But yeah, okay, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So tell me about your spiritual journey.
Okay, so honestly, I feel like it happened kind of randomly. I got into tarot and astrology probably back in 2017 because I went to a liberal arts college and it was like trendy and like cool. My best friend and roommate, Jacqueline, who's a Cancer Pisces, was really into astrology, and she was the one that taught me that it's not just sun signs.
Yeah.
Like 2017 was like a turning point for me.
And she's very intuitive as well.
Yeah. Oh my god. You guys. Oh my god.
You have no idea.
The reading she was giving me and the accuracy is insane.
Yeah.
But she like got a tarot deck for Christmas.
Okay.
That year. And of course, I would just ask her constantly every single day. Every time I met like a new love interest, I'd be like, Jacqueline, like
read my cards.
I was like, what's the prognosis here? Like, what's going on? And then shortly after that, we both went abroad. And I met someone while abroad. I met someone while abroad and
decided not to delve further into that topic.
I will not be giving further information. But basically, it was a very confusing relationship. Like, I felt a strong connection, and I'm a Scorpio. I don't normally develop.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot.
And I was like, "What is going on?" It was with an Aries man.
Oh,
I know.
That reaction says it all.
I know, and it was very confusing, hot and cold. I was like, "Why do I feel so connected to this Aries man? Like, I don't understand what's going on." And I would ask Jacqueline all the time to like read my cards, like, what is he gonna do next? Like, what's gonna happen next? And eventually, she was like, bitch, get your own deck.
Yeah.
And so I didn't.
Ignored all advice.
I just typed like online tarot reading, and I found like tarot on YouTube tarot.
Yeah.
And I just started watching it because it was kind of like ASMR to me.
Yeah.
And it was just like really fun. It became like really addicting to me.
I feel like it's like that for a lot of people
like,
at first.
I was watching so many videos, not just about him. Like, I eventually kind of stopped caring about him, but I would just watch so many.
About everything.
I was like addicted to watching them, and that's kind of how I learned how to read tarot.
Yeah.
When I found someone that I liked, I would watch all of the piles. Like, not just the pile that I chose, I would watch all of them.
That's a great way to learn.
I could like hear how they interpreted the cards and like see like what they did.
Yeah, and then you don't have attachment to the outcome as well, so I feel like you can really learn better that way when you're not just like, what's the message for me? You know?
And then one night, this is like after I graduated college, I like had no idea what I wanted to do. Actually, I should probably back up a little bit.
Reverse it.
Can I even tell that I'm Sagittarius Mercury? Like, I'm so bad at telling stories. That's why I've never like talked about this before, because I just like cannot tell stories. And
you can tell great stories. If you guys listen to the podcast, you'll hear she has insane stories, and she's actually quite good at telling them. So give yourself some credit.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
But when I came back to the U.S., after like I met this guy, I came back to the US, my youngest brother, I told him everything. And so I told him about this guy, I told him about how I was watching like tarot readings online, and he was like, you need to be doing it yourself. He was like stop being lazy and like, doing it yourself. And so he actually bought me my first ever deck.
That's so cute. I didn't even know that. That's adorable.
We went to like a used bookstore, and he like just saw one and he like bought it for me as a surprise. Which is cute because like you're supposed to get your first deck as a gift, which is not true, but like it was just a cute thing.
Do you remember what deck it was?
Yeah, it was a Marseille deck.
Oh, love that.
Which also made it challenging because like there's no pictures on those cards. It's just like
whatever it is, like the 10 wands.
Yeah, so I literally did not use it. I would just kept watching YouTube tarot because I was like, I do not know what this is saying.
You didn't resonate with it.
But then, my senior year of college, like I was in the bathroom of my dining hall, and this random woman was in there, and she was like, "Can you like, do you have any like pads on you or like tampons?" And I was like, "No, but I live like right nearby. I'll just like go grab one for you and come back." And so I did, and she was like, "Oh my god, that's so kind of you."
That is so kind.
And I was like, I think anybody would do that. It's like not a big deal. But when I graduated, she sent me like an Amazon gift card.
Oh, nice.
And I used that to buy like a regular tarot deck.
That's so cute.
like a not.
What a nice story.
I know.
It is like it all stems from like this generous like act of kindness that you did. I feel like that's a really nice way to like, get into it.
Oh, well, thank you. So then I got that deck, and when I got that deck, it just made so much more sense. Like as soon as I got like a Rider-Waite deck, I was like, okay, no.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I could get messages. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, I'm good at this. And my family like thought I was insane.
Yeah.
Like I was doing readings for all of them, and like I was like, this is so accurate, and they were like, I don't know. And I was like, I know. I was like, no, I know.
We love that inner belief.
Yeah, I was like, I know I'm good at this.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm gonna show you. And so my family went on vacation. It was just me home alone, and I was like drunk by myself. And I was like, let me film a YouTube tarot video. So I did a big pile thing on like my MacBook on photo booth. Like it was
love that.
And it was also at like 10 p.m. So it was so dark you could not see anything. My cat was like sitting in front of the camera.
A vibe.
And I uploaded it like and didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about it. I did another job. Like I traveled to California, did other things. Came back, my brother was like, how's your YouTube channel doing? And I forgot about it, and I checked it, and it was like kind of doing well.
Yeah.
Like I got like good comments. It was half and half.
It was kind of
half and half because I got some hate for being drunk, which like fair enough.
Yeah.
I've not done another drunk video since.
We all start somewhere.
We do all start somewhere. But once like I did that, then I started like just doing more readings. It was just like fun for me. It was like a hobby. And my channel just kind of like took off, like surprisingly.
Not surprisingly at all.
Well, thank you. But like I didn't expect it to.
Yeah.
It was just like a hobby. It was just like for fun. Like I didn't really think anything of it. But when my channel started to get more subscribers, that's when I started like seriously studying tarot. Like not just like watching other people and like using my intuition, but like learning like the traditional meanings. Yeah. Because I felt like a responsibility to people to like know that.
Have that like base knowledge down.
Yeah. And like I didn't expect people to like watch what I was like I didn't think anyone would listen. So the fact that people were, I was like, I need to like know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and, like,
definitely.
Right. But it was kind of just like, yeah, that's how I got into it. Like love readings. I feel like a lot of people. I feel like a lot of my clients also will be like this, like a certain connection, and like the connection usually doesn't work out. I found like the initial one, but then like you get into spirituality and it brings in like a whole other realm into your life.
Definitely.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, despite like I've been doing this now I've been studying tarot and outlook since 2017.
Yeah.
I've had my channel since 2019. I still cannot read for myself. Like I can read for myself, but I like can't.
I feel the same way, honestly. Like,
can you read your own birth chart?
Yeah, of course. But I think astrology is different than tarot in some respects. Like I think you know your life experiences versus when you're trying to divine something or predict something about a situation or about a person. It's a little bit more challenging because there's a lot more subjectivity and a lot more, to me, intuition that goes into it. Not that you can't use intuition in tandem with astrology, but I think it's much more present in tarot, at least for me.
Yeah. Like I want to hear what I want to hear, and so I will I can make anything. Like if I do my for other people, like I'm like very much like no, like I don't sugarcoat anything. Yeah. For myself, I'll pull like the 10 of Swords, like the Death card, and be like, oh my god,
it's gonna go great.
Like he's like so in love with me, he can't even get off the ground.
So his passion has killed him.
He's thinking about me so much.
He's running himself into the ground. It's
though I consider myself now like pretty good and like pretty experienced, I still don't read for myself.
Yeah.
I still go to other people for spiritual guidance.
Yeah.
Including Keen. Have you ever tried Keen?
I have tried Keen. I tried Keen with you.
Yes.
Remember?
It was such an accurate reading for
It was. It really was. And the woman that I had my like reading with did predict certain things that are supposed to come to fruition quite shortly here. And so I'm very, very keen to see if it happens.
Yours was crazy. I need to remember, like, you need to tell me the woman that did yours.
I know, I need to go back and look. I wanted to like reread the conversation and I meant to go back and do that recently and then for some reason I didn't, and I think it's because certain things are supposed to happen soon and if I know, I'll like influence it, you know what I mean?
That's a really nice thing about Keen though too, is that it gives you a transcript
of
the reading,
so you can
go back and
read
see it. Versus like, you can also like, I don't like to talk on the phone. Like I live with really bad anxiety.
Me too.
So if I have to call someone or like video chat
I just won't do it.
No, so the fact you can just type to them is so nice.
And like the first reading is quite inexpensive, very cheap. Like I think I did mine for.
If you use my code.
Yeah, I did use Hannah's code, so all of you should also use Hannah's code.
If you use my code, trykeen.com/blatherby, you get your first 10 minutes for $1.99.
For $1.99, and normally the prices are a lot higher. So I feel like that is such a good deal. You would be absolutely like, you gotta do it.
Really quickly, I just wanted to clarify that I will receive compensation from anyone that signs up through my link, so thank you in advance to anyone that chooses to support me that way.
I'm really, I was a little bit hesitant as well, like when you told me about this. I was like, okay, I'm not too sure, you know, I'd never gone to a full psychic before, like I get my tarot cards read and I've had astrology readings, but I'd never had a psychic reading before, so I was a bit hesitant, but I felt like it went so well and it really encouraged me to want to do it again. You know what I mean? Like I was like,
really want to do it.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, like this is so cool.
It was so like and we had time to talk about a lot of topics. I felt like for only 10 minutes. Like I was like, wait, I don't have more questions. You were like feeding me things to say.
I had questions about your
You were like, wait, no, but what about this? But what about this? I was like, oh yeah, I guess I would like to know that.
Yeah, 10 minutes goes by like really long actually, especially because psychics can like go like this.
Yeah.
Like I have to shuffle and like that can take a long time.
Yeah.
But psychic just like knows.
And I think that's also like leads us into the intuition conversation as well, about just knowing.
Do you consider yourself a psychic?
No, I would say that I'm intuitive and I'm like working to develop on my intuition and my intuitive gifts every day. And I'm an astrologer and I can read tarot for other people, but I wouldn't say I'm a psychic. I don't think I'm there yet. I would love to be someday, but.
What do you think is the difference between a psychic and intuition?
That's a good question. I feel like psychics, it's like your intuition is fully developed. Like you don't have to try. It comes to you automatically. And I think like with intuition, it's kind of the same thing where it comes to you, but I don't think you can will it. Like you can't just like think like, oh, what it is going to be and then it's there. Like to me, it's more of a knowing or something that comes to me randomly. Like I can't force myself to intuit something.
Interesting.
Like it just comes to me naturally.
Interesting. Because I feel like I can.
So you're psychic.
But like for me, I think a psychic like has like a spirit that they talk to.
Okay.
Like you know what I mean? I've like seen. I watched so many tarot readers. I cannot even tell.
Oh, I thought you were about to start talking about psychic kids. I thought that's where this was going.
Guys, I love like paranormal shows.
Yeah.
Like that. No. But I was gonna say like I watched like some YouTube tarot readers that like have like a psychic where they're like Ben is telling me this, or like my spirit, like Alex is telling me this, and like it's usually like right.
Yeah, so just quite connected with the spiritual realm then.
So like to me, I feel like a psychic like has like an in.
Okay.
Like I don't know if that's true. It's like my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think it's probably different for everyone as well. You know,
Yeah.
like what people resonate with or what they think classifies as intuitive or psychic. I don't know.
Yeah. But like onto the topic of, this is the question I get asked like the most frequently, is people that are starting to get into tarot and spirituality themselves and are like starting to try to give messages. They're trying to like contact spirit guides. How do you know the difference between your intuition and just like a random thought, or like how do you know if it's really a message for you or not?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think it's one that most people do have when they're getting started.
I definitely have it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, as you have to spend a lot of time with it too. You know, it's you got to practice a lot, and I think for me, it's more about when there's no feeling attached to it, or attached to the outcome as well.
Yeah. Really quickly, I think as with anything in spirituality, the way everyone receives intuitive messages is different. So the way that everyone is going to confirm whether or not it's intuitive is going to be different for you. We both agree that like you just know.
Yeah.
Which sounds like it's such an annoying answer to
Yeah.
give. But like when you've been practicing for a long time, like you just know.
Yeah.
And the more that you do it and the more time that you take, like the more practice that you have, you'll be able to tell what your specific feeling is. Like you were telling me about yours.
Yeah. I get a few different ones, and it's different also when it's for me or when it's for someone else.
That's really interesting.
Which I found to be really interesting. It was actually through a conversation with you that I realized that a couple months back.
Really?
And yeah, when I get messages or like intuitive messages for myself, and I believe they're from my spirit guides, I get kind of like an intense pressure on my third eye, which sounds a little bit weird, but if you've experienced that, I think you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But when it's for other people, like when I'm in an astrology reading, for example, and I get like an intuitive message, it's normally like a physical manifestation of chills or goosebumps, but it's not like, oh, I'm cold or anything like that. It's like I get rolling goosebumps through my whole body, and I get kind of like warm, and I get them in my cheeks. And sometimes I have it too when people like ask me about people that have passed away, and like I'll just get that feeling really, really hot. Like I'll get like kind of short of breath, you know? And that's kind of how it manifests for me. But there's zero attachment to whatever the message is or to whatever the outcome is. It's more just a confirmation, I think, from spirit saying, it usually comes after I say something when I'm reading it in their chart, like a prediction, and then it'll be spirit kind of confirming, yes, that's happening, or yes, that's coming into their life. And I have had like multiple occasions where that's happened, and it's been very obvious, and then it did happen within a month or so after that, and yeah.
That makes me excited because you did a reading for me a while ago, and you got goosebumps.
Yeah.
After saying I would find the love of my life soon.
Well,
so I was like,
check back.
I'll do an update.
That did happen with me with one of my really good friends. We did a new moon ritual one time, and she was manifesting love. And when she said it, it was one of the first times that it ever happened to me as well. So I was kind of freaking out because it was so intense. I felt like I was gonna cry as well, and I didn't know why. Like,
I feel like that when I feel like that's how I know.
Yeah.
My intuition, like I get like tears, right? Like I feel like I have like the desire to cry.
But it's not like
it's
you're
not like
sad or
no,
anything.
It's just an intense feeling.
Yeah, it's very.
Cry.
It almost feels overwhelming in a sense because it's not you. It's like spirit or something else kind of communicating either with you or through you. And yeah, she ended up meeting her now boyfriend like a month later, and they've been together ever since.
Really perfect.
They literally, I swear to God, they're gonna get married.
I hope so.
I think they will. And so yeah, I feel like there's sometimes it's very obvious confirmations, but like we said before, it'll be really different for everyone, I think. So
for me, like I said, it's like tear, like I want to cry. For when it's like my own intuition, I get like a warm, like tingling feeling.
Okay.
Like in my
where
shoulder
specific?
plexus.
Okay, I was gonna say where specifically.
Sometimes I don't like get like a third eye pressure.
Okay.
It's like mostly that. For if I'm doing a reading for someone else and like I know that it's like popping off, there will be like an outside thing.
Okay.
For example, a candle will pop,
or
like something will happen like in the energy around me. But it's not so much like a feeling. The way that I know that I'm like doing a really good job in a reading and I'm like really using my intuition is like my mind turns off.
Yeah.
It's like
you enter flow state.
Yeah, like I just like speak. Like I don't even like think about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It just like comes out. And it depends on the person too, because like some people it's easier to connect with than others. Usually people that I have like similar placements to, if we've had like similar experiences, it's a lot easier for me to like connect with them.
Yeah.
And then for like I'll know that I'm like really connecting. It's like really intuition. If I just like I'm not even thinking, like I'll be like I'll be maybe like thinking what I'm gonna eat for dinner, but I'm like saying like the reading, like my mind is like somewhere else.
Do you find that after the reading, do you remember what you said, or does it have to like kind of come back in bits and pieces, and then you're like, oh wait?
No, because like when that happens,
Yeah.
like I don't remember.
Yeah.
People will like contact me and be like, oh my god, you said this in like this reading, and I'm like, no, I didn't.
Because it's the same thing for me. I don't remember usually. Like when I have that, it's almost like a out of body experience in a way.
And this leads us perhaps into some tips and tricks for developing intuition, because whenever I get an intuitive message, I forget it.
Yeah.
Whether it's for myself or for someone else, like
Me
I
too.
do not remember. And one of the things that helped me start to recognize, like, okay, this is what my intuition feels like for me, was me writing down the messages that I got for myself.
And
also, like, what happened, like, what I felt, and, like, what happened, like, what I felt like was the sign that I saw.
Okay.
For example, like, if I don't know, like, sometimes you just see something and, like, it feels like a sign.
Yeah, like, you'll say something and then a bird will fly by right away, or, like, a loud noise will happen, and it feels like that felt a little too on the nose.
Yeah, or, like, someone will say something to you where it's, like, there's no way, like, like you said that.
Yeah.
Or like you'll like see an angel number.
Yeah.
Or like something like
Absolutely.
that. So like keeping track of that for me was really helpful. Just also like writing down my dreams
Yes.
was also very helpful.
Huge. I recommend most people keep a dream journal, but especially if you have 12th house placements in astrology or like a really strong 12th house, I always recommend for those people to keep a dream journal because you're likely intuiting messages in your sleep. And so you can write those down and then kind of come back to them at a later date when they come to fruition, or if they don't, and then you can kind of like discern what the message was and what it was trying to tell you.
What about the 8th house?
Yeah, I think 8th house is more awareness in the present moment, or like the waking reality. I think it's more of like a consciousness, like you're in a conscious state, versus to me the 8th house is more of an unconscious state, like in the dream world. 12th house, sorry. 12th house is more intuiting through dreams, versus the 8th house is more intuiting through a conscious state of being awake.
That makes sense. I have 8th house placements, but I don't have my 12th house. I actually have Lilith in the 12th house.
Okay, there you go. I have Lilith on the exact degree of my ascendant.
Ooh.
And you know she's a feminist, baby.
Yeah. She's a demon too.
Yeah, I love that for her.
We all do. I mean, you can't like hate it. Like
you literally can't.
No. So I like to write things down. Also, like another thing is just to trust it. Like even if you're wrong, like who cares?
Yeah.
Like if you're wrong, it doesn't really matter. Like I used to. Also, another thing is like to think about how you're getting intuitive messages, because like we said, some people get them differently. It also depends. Like the more that I've practiced, I get them in different ways. Like I used to just like know it. Like it was just like a knowing, like this is like the answer. Now sometimes I can like see things in my mind's eye, or I can like hear something, or I can like smell things also.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which like sounds strange, but like if you think you're getting an intuitive message and like just go with it. Yeah. Like there's no harm necessarily in like.
Unless there is, but normally there's not.
But unless like if it's like a harmful message, then it's probably not your intuition.
Yeah, if you're getting scared or anything, then it's probably not your intuition. And I was telling Hannah before we filmed this video, I was saying, I think a lot of times we're also just taught to only perceive the world through our 5 senses, and so we kind of write off anything that isn't taste, touch, sight, sound, smell, versus sometimes you do have that gut feeling and that inner knowing, and it happens, and then a week later you're like, oh my gosh, I just knew it. I just knew it in my gut. Like I had that feeling in my stomach. And I think honestly that we do have that 6th sense, but we turn it off or we just ignore it. And when you start to use it and practice and like work with it, you start to realize how strong it really is and how much you can develop it. So I think just being open is a huge thing too. You have to be open to whatever messages are going to come, whatever, signs and symptoms you might feel when you intuit things, and just, stay open.
And also like be open to being wrong, because what I have found personally is that like tarot is never wrong, astrology is never wrong, but the interpretations can be wrong.
I completely agree.
And everyone gets things wrong. Like I've definitely done readings that were like wrong for myself, for other people, and like that's just the nature.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah, like no one's gonna be right 100% of the time, but if you like expect yourself to always like get it,
you can't put that pressure on yourself.
No, it's like it's gonna be a lot harder for you to develop those gifts.
I completely agree.
We were also talking about like practicing intuition.
Yeah. I think there's different things you can do. Like a lot of people do those little games on like TikTok, or like you can sit, me and Hannah were like playing this before we started. Like I'm thinking of a fruit, what is it? And she said orange, and she got it right like the first time. Yeah. But I think when you try to force an answer to come to you is when your intuition isn't there, and that's okay. Like I got it wrong. I got the animal wrong.
And the fruit.
Yeah, and the fruit. But it was because I didn't get the immediate knowing, and I was like trying to search for it, and then it wouldn't come to me. So I think for me, it's also just allowing it to be and having it come naturally versus trying to force something. But that could be very different for other people as well. Like it's okay to not always know the answer. It's okay if you can't intuit everything. Yeah. You intuit what you're supposed to know. Yeah.
And I feel like the more you do it, the easier it is.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I also really think that meditation is helpful.
Always.
Just because someone asked me this recently, I recommended to them in a reading, and they asked me like, what will meditation do? Yeah. And I was like, you can like get messages through meditation if you like do a specific kind of meditation, like you meditate on something, like you're trying to connect, you're trying to get a message, you can get messages that way.
Absolutely.
But also, even if you're just doing regular meditation, like I started meditating not for spiritual purposes, but because I have anxiety.
Yeah,
and
same.
it like helps me like calm down and like quiet my mind, and it helps me detach from my emotions and
from your thoughts, like to realize that you're not your thoughts, that they're just going through your mind, and you can actually have some control, or not get like that anxious attached feeling to like everything you think, you know, like it's a good practice of discernment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the more that you meditate, the more that you do that, the easier it is to tell the difference between your intuition and other things, because it will feel clearer, it will feel stronger, and you will also like you'll just know easier.
Yeah. And I'll just say really quickly that meditation looks different for everyone too. So if you're not someone who feels like you can just sit on the floor for 10 minutes with your eyes closed, that's totally okay. There's other ways to meditate, you know, like, or even for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, like, again, people with 12 house placements, I always recommend, because they find it very hard to be usually like very quiet and still. Just stare at a blank wall with nothing like coming in, like no phone, like have every music off, like everything, and just see what comes up for you. And that's usually what you should be focusing on, you know? It's like whatever kind of arises in that moment is something that you can then think about and meditate on in the future. But I think it just looks different for everyone. Like I've had messages come to me when I'm playing guitar and I'm in flow state and like meditating in that way, and that's very different than you know, or
through like yoga, like meditation, movement, or like
absolutely.
some kind of like whatever, like gets you into flow state, whatever you feel like really connected
like
to.
doing the dishes can be a meditation, you know what I mean? Anything can be. So just wanted to say that it can be different for everyone, so don't beat yourself up if it's not the stereotypical version of meditation that you see everywhere.
One thing that helps me too was I cannot turn my mind off. Like I'm a really anxious person. There's always a lot going on up here.
I feel that.
And one thing that helped me a lot was like to think about like when you meditate, like a bunch of like why can't I think of the word? Hills.
I was gonna say clouds. Because I try to picture a blue sky with like clouds, as my thoughts are the clouds.
I picture like hills or like mountains and like a train going through them.
Oh,
and then each of like the little like compartments of the train are like my thoughts.
That's
and
nice.
So I like put the thoughts like in there, and then it just goes by. So it's like you observe them, like, because for me it's like, if I used to think I like had to have no thoughts. For me, I hope one day I'll get to that point.
But
for me, right now,
that's just not a possibility.
Like, and I've been meditating for quite some time. Like, I just cannot turn my thoughts off. But if I'm like okay, I can like look at them, I can recognize that they're there, I can thank them for being there, but I don't have to like attach them. I don't have to like.
You don't have to feed into them. You can just watch them float by in your mind as you would a cloud or a train or whatever it is. And that's a good example of how it looks different for everyone. So really like allow yourself to. Whatever comes up, you know? And whatever works for you. And it doesn't need to look like anybody else's meditation practice or anybody else's spiritual practice. It's a very unique, personal thing, and that's kind of what makes it so beautiful to me.
Another thing specifically for tarot cards, what I just thought of. Because like through developing intuition with tarot cards, what I did as well, so I watched a bunch of people on YouTube and listened to their readings, and then I also did a tarot journal. Similar to what we were saying about writing down interpretations, I would pick one card for the day, the Rider-Waite deck. You could use any deck that you feel connected to. I would pull a card for the day, and I would write down like what I thought the card meant, or, like what I thought like the day, what would happen during the day based on that card. And then during the nighttime, I would like look up a traditional meaning, like write that down, and then also write down like what happened to me in that day. Because the thing about spirituality to me, it's a language. And it's like it's kind of personal. So to me, like what the hermit means is probably different than someone else. And so to know like what that brings up for me, it doesn't like it's helpful to know other people's opinions and know their experiences, but like what matters in a reading is what you think.
It's your intuition, what you're
because you are the one
interpreting.
giving it.
Absolutely.
And so really like. Just knowing what that means for you. I don't know if you think it's the same in astrology, because I know you don't really believe it's an intuitive practice as much.
I think it's different in some senses. I think there's a base knowledge that you need with astrology. Like you can't just make up definitions for planets and things like in the houses. Like everything means something. But I think there's ways to expand on that base knowledge and intuit things. And like I said, I do definitely get messages when I do readings for people. And sometimes I will just like get an image or say something and like it just comes up, and that is very intuitive for me. But I think with the certain like base information, like you can't just say Jupiter's about restriction when Jupiter's about expansion. Like that's just not it. Versus like with tarot, I do feel like it's very much interpreted how you view the card, your personal definition, because you're going to read it the way that the person needs to receive the message. And I think with astrology, it's kind of the same way, but it's more about like what you're drawn to in their chart, what you focus on, what comes like, what appears to be the most relevant for you, like, and for your client as well, like what you're talking to them about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
I would also write down any readings that you do for yourself and just like come back to them later and see, A, they might have a different message for you when you like go back and look at it, and then B, you can see like, okay, did it come true?
Yeah.
What didn't come true? Like, and then go back and look at the cards, like what could have been an alternative like meaning of those cards, like if you look at like what you thought was gonna happen versus what happened, and you go back and look at the cards, like how did those cards tell you what actually happened?
Yeah, I think that's a great
like
way
that
to
was
do it
really
as well.
helpful for me to like go back and see. I have a Virgo Mars, so I really love to like edit and like
analyze,
like look at my. I feel like you can learn a lot from your mistakes, and I think that's another thing. People are like very afraid to like make mistakes, like I said earlier. So just like I feel like you can learn a lot from that, like writing stuff down and coming back to it.
Yeah. I know when I first got started on my tarot journey, you made me like a little tarot journal. It was the cutest thing ever for like my birthday. Yeah. And I did exactly that. I pulled like a card or two, and like every like new moon or full moon, I would do a full spread, and I would try different spreads and see what resonated the most with me. And I just think like don't be afraid to have fun with it and like mess around and play with it, you know, like it doesn't always need to be serious. Like there should definitely be a respect for the practice and the tradition, but like Hannah said, you can be wrong and that's okay. Like it's a learning experience and you're never going to get it 100% right. So just enjoy the journey.
The future is never set in stone either. So like you're never.
You're like,
I disagree.
It depends on what you believe for
sure. I think there's multiple paths that anyone can take at any given time.
Yeah.
And choices that you make influence that future.
There
are definitely, I think, like guidelines.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like you're gonna 100%. Like I don't believe anyone's future is fated.
Okay.
And so I really, especially when you're using tarot, maybe if you're looking at astrology it might be different, but with tarot definitely, because you're looking at energy. Like it's not.
And you're looking at the present moment, which can change in a second. You know?
Like when you think about like I used to get down on myself. There are maybe like 5 readings that I've done that were just completely wrong. Yeah. But like when I thought about it, I was like, that's like out of like over 1,000 readings. Yeah. And when you think about what you're doing, like you're using your intuition to tell the future. Like that's a crazy concept.
That is.
Like the fact that you get anything right is honestly crazy.
And I think that also sometimes there's a reason why you say the wrong thing, and it might have been because the person didn't need to know what was actually going to happen, to think that it was going to happen a different way, so it could go the way that it was actually intended to go. So I think even in the wrong messages, there's something to be gained and something to be learned.
I think everything happens for a reason.
Completely.
So that happened to me once. I think I told you that.
Yeah, I think we talked about this on one of the podcast episodes at one point. Yeah. Just go check it out. We've got lots of episodes.
Do you have any other tips or tricks for thinking about your intuition?
I don't think so. I feel like we covered quite a bit. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Well then.
I hope that was helpful to everyone.
Yeah.
I hope that fun. If you guys try anything, let me know. I would love to know
how it goes.
Also, if you have any tips or tricks, like we also practice all the time, and like we would love new ideas. So if you want to comment them, let us know. It'd be super interesting to know what you have to say.
Share them down below. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching, and have a great day.
Bye.
Yay!
Yay!
How long was that?
36.